3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey guys, welcome to my new Let's Play series of Metal Gear Solid Part 0. In this Part 0 we only gonna check out the options, I'm going to introduce myself, and we are watching the briefing videos of the game, which probably are very interesting. I've already recorded 3 parts of gameplay just to get used to the controls again, because this is not a blind Let's Play. I played this when was it? Proper 12, 15, 30, 50 years ago, I do not know, a long time ago, when I was young, on the PlayStation 1. But I played a little bit, and I have to say it's, well, the game is stable, but it seems to be, if you ask me, if you wanna hear my opinion, a lazy port. But for me it's still okay, because you know I can play the game DRM-free, which is a huge thing for me. I think the price of €10 is okay. It's on the border to be, well, not okay for such a lazy port, but it's stable enough. And to be honest, there is a video called "Don't Buy the New PC Ports." I'm gonna link this video in the video description, made from a small YouTuber, but he did a really good job, and I think just want to mention that because it's a really good video. I didn't know him, just rediscovered him, or just discovered him. And he makes a really good video, so just check it out and see if it's if you agree or disagree. In my opinion, I think it's still worth it. I totally think it's still worth it, because for a Let's Play it's good to have a legit copy of the game, which is good for me, and yeah, and it's stable enough. Okie dokie, I don't want to go into that so much. I'm not a reviewer by any means. I'm still learning the language, kinda. I'm going to introduce myself now. So I'm Lastrates. I created the channel 2 years ago, a little bit longer, to learn and improve my English. But now I'm still learning, but very easy. Let's put it that way, to be honest. I learned 4 years the language, and I'm at this point where I just, do the fun stuff. Playing games in English, watching stuff in English, and getting better with that. And because of that, you see in the right side of the screen two TVs. I'm sorry, the game is keeping to show the nice intro. That's cool, but it's interrupting me all the time. So when I stuck, I usually just translate that. I'm gonna show you this quickly. Hello, my name is Lucas. And
hello, my name is Lucas.
So, and then I translate sometimes words, not all the time, but sometimes. About the interface, well, I've created the interface because the game probably is playable in HD, but I had problems with that to get the game started in HD. And so I then thought I'm gonna make an interface which I think is cool. But I understand that just because I think it's cool doesn't mean that everybody thinks it is a cool thing. So if you really bother with that and you are like to watching the videos, there is space for discussions later if you really watch the video. So I'm always open for that. So don't worry about it. I need a sip of water. Okay, so yeah, what else did I forget? I probably forget. I always forget certain things. Stop doing that game. Always showing the intro. Okay, gameplay, like I said, I said this will be in part 1. Okay, what we're gonna do now is taking a look at the options, because the options are always important. I did this already in my gameplay videos, but if you're just here and you wanna check out or see which options are available, then here, take a look. You can turn on the captions. Those are my settings. Nothing really major in here. Advanced settings. So this is the problem I have. I have to talk about this quickly. you can change, you should, if you bought this game on GOG, you should definitely look in the game folder, installation folder of the game. There are some DirectX settings you can change, and also start and training mode of the game. So it's definitely worth checking out the game folder. And you might don't have any problems with the resolutions, but I can't choose for some reason, and it doesn't matter what I'm putting into the settings, HD, but that has to do probably, I guess, something with my setup. I have like sometimes 4 screens with different resolutions, so that might be is confusing to the game. Also, the mouse is not usable. If you play the game, I recommend play it with a controller. You can you can change the key settings, so that's not a problem for keyboard and for controller. And yeah, that's about it. So this is the retro style, I believe. This is when we want to play the game in the retro mode. So yeah, those are the settings. Yeah, again, check out the in-game, the game folder. Okay, sometimes I say weird words that are close, but not what I actually want to say. Okay, here are the menu to change the keyboard or controls. I mean, I think you all can do that. It's not a big thing. Yeah. Oh, good that we don't start the game, because the problem is also if you have a controller, make sure to turn on the Xbox controller if it's the wireless controller before you start the game. If you do it while you're starting the game, then the game will not automatically recognize the controller. So turn on the controller and then start the game, and then you'll be okay. Again, I want to say I played a little bit and there was nothing to say. It's not the best port I've ever seen, but it's sometimes, you know, it's you see some lazy work, but it's okay or well enough, and I really think it's that, at least to me. But I'm also I'm so excited I just want to play the game, so I might be a little bit too nice, you know, about that. So that could also be a thing. Anyways, doesn't matter. I want to play the game. Good. I forgot something. Did I forget something? Yeah, of course. We're gonna watch the briefing videos. They are really cool. So let's do that. Let's watch them. I think so. I didn't watch them. No, I didn't watch them. Yeah. I think I said I didn't watch them, which is, yeah, the didn't thing confuses me sometimes. Briefing.
It's been a long time, Snake.
I should have known you were behind this, Colonel.
That's no way to greet an old war buddy, Snake.
What do you want from me?
I just invited you here so we could have a talk.
Invited? That's what you call sending armed soldiers after me?
Sorry if they were a little rough with you. But we've got a serious situation here. Only you can get us out of it.
I'm retired from Foxhound. You're not my commander anymore, and I don't have to take orders from you or anyone else.
You will take these orders. I know it.
Excuse me.
Who's this?
Dr. Naomi Hunter. She's chief of Foxhound's medical staff and an expert in gene therapy.
Are you military?
No, civilian. I've been sent here from ATGC. Pleasure to meet you, Snake. Don't worry, this injection won't hurt a bit.
What's the shot for?
What's wrong? You don't like shots?
Snake, listen up. It all went down 5 hours ago. Heavily armed soldiers occupied Shadow Moses Island, a remote island off the coast of Alaska.
What soldiers?
Next Generation Special Forces, led by members of Unit Foxhound. They've presented Washington with a single demand, and they say that if it isn't met, they'll launch a nuclear weapon.
A nuclear weapon?
I'm afraid so. You see, the island is the site of a secret nuclear weapons disposal facility.
Foxhound hijacking a nuclear weapon?
Now you understand how serious the situation is. You'll have 2 mission objectives. First, you're to rescue the DARPA chief, Donald Anderson, and the president of Arms Tech, Kenneth Baker. They're both being held as hostages.
Those are some heavy-duty hostages.
Secondly, you're to investigate whether or not the terrorists have the ability to launch a nuclear strike, and stop them if they do. Any questions, Snake?
Questions? I haven't even said whether I'd accept this mission.
Well, you can make up your mind after you hear more about the situation.
Okay, this was the first one. Then the next one will be infiltration method. Let's play this. Or how do I start that?
Tell me about the nuclear weapon disposal facility.
The disposal facility includes a hardened underground base. Even with our most advanced intelligence gathering equipment, we can't tell what's happening inside.
So someone needs to penetrate, gather intelligence, and report back. Sounds like a spy movie. What's the insertion method?
Well, an air insertion is impossible.
Not with this storm going on.
We'll approach the disposal facility by sub.
Approach?
Yes, within a few miles of it. The facility is equipped with sonar detection capabilities. They'd be able to hear our engine or propeller noise.
And then?
We'll launch a one-man SDV.
Launch?
Same as a torpedo, only this has no propulsion device of its own. After the SDV gets as close as it can, dispose of it. From there on, you'll have to swim.
You want me to swim in sub-zero Alaskan water?
Don't worry. That suit represents the latest advances in polythermal technology. The nuclear weapons disposal facility covers the whole island. I'll instruct you by codec after you reach your target.
Anyone going with me?
As usual, this is a one-man infiltration mission.
Weapons and equipment OSP?
Yes. This is a top-secret black op. Don't expect any official support.
Okay, what else do we have? Operation outline. By this one. Struggle a little bit because last time I used the controller, but the controller doesn't work right now because I did not turn it on beforehand. Life limit. Ah, it works. Okay.
What's the time limit?
24 hours. They say they'll launch after 24 hours.
Do they say what the target will be?
So far, they haven't mentioned the target.
When did the countdown start?
5 hours ago.
That was very brief. This is operation member. What do we have? Person. It's very blurry because it looks a little bit sharper on YouTube, probably because the video is just smaller on YouTube. Person in charge of the operation. Yeah, that's good. Are we naked? What the heck?
Colonel, who are you speaking for?
Naturally, I'm representing the US government.
So who's in supervisory control of this operation?
The President of the United States.
Which means that the President must be meeting with his top aides in the map room about now, huh?
No, at this point they're still video conferencing with each other.
If that's a real nuclear warhead, shouldn't they issue a COG?
Not yet. The Secretary of Defense has operational control and is fully aware of the situation. After you infiltrate, if you determine they possess nuclear launch capabilities, a COG will be issued.
Well, if they haven't relocated to the nuclear shelter under Mount Washington, I suppose there isn't that much reason to worry yet. Is the National Security Agency in on this?
Yes. So is the DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency.
The DIA? I'm starting to get a bad feeling about this.
They'll be sending us some support.
We don't need desk jockeys. We need a nuclear weapons specialist.
Of course. A nuclear weapons specialist has already been assigned to us.
Okay, what else? Support crew probably, huh? Okay.
We need backup from a specialist. I'm just an amateur when it comes to nuclear weapons.
I know. That's why I've requested the assistance of a military analyst named Nastasha Romanenko. She'll be providing you backup by Kodak.
A female analyst?
She's built up an impressive record as an advisor for the Nuclear Emergency Search Team. Contact her if you have any questions. She's also an expert on high-tech weapons.
Where's she working from?
At her home in Los Angeles.
California. Seems like a million miles away. Colonel, you're retired. Why are you involved in this?
Because there aren't many people who know Foxhound as well as I do.
Is that really the only reason?
I've been soldiering for a long time. I don't know anything else. I guess even though I'm getting a little old, I still love to be in the field.
Colonel, you're a lousy liar. Tell me the real reason.
Okay, Snake. Sorry. I'll be frank. A person very dear to me is being held hostage.
Who is it?
My niece, Meryl.
Wow, to be honest, I think I've never really watched that or paid attention when I was younger, but it's very interesting. I mean, not very, but a little bit. Let's be honest. Gameplay is always more fun to me.
What was your niece doing here?
Several soldiers were reported missing the day of the revolt. And my niece was one of those called in as an emergency replacement.
She looks like you.
She's my little brother's girl. He died in the Gulf War. Since then, I've been watching after her.
A personal motive, Colonel. That's not very soldierly.
I'm retired. I'm just an old man now. And I'm your friend.
Since when are we friends?
I've thought of us as friends since the fall of Zanzibar.
With my personality, I don't have too many friends.
That's what I trust about you. It's what makes you human. Please, Snake. Save my niece, Meryl.
All right. But I have two conditions.
Name them.
1, no more secrets between us. I want complete disclosure at all times. And 2, I'll only accept orders directly from you, Colonel. No cutoffs involved, okay?
Agreed. That's why I was called. But one thing.
What?
I'm not a colonel anymore. Just a retired old warhorse.
I understand, Colonel.
Dr. Naomi.
That doctor, is she part of this operation too?
She was in charge of Foxhound's gene therapy. She knows more about those men than anyone else.
You mean you've seen them naked?
Make no mistake, I'm not a nurse. I'm a scientist.
By the way, what was that injection for?
It's a combination of nanomachines and an anti-freezing peptide so that your blood and other bodily fluids don't freeze, even at subarctic temperatures.
Nanomachines?
Not just one kind, either. There are different types which will replenish the supply of adrenaline, nutrition, and sugar in your bloodstream.
Oh, now I don't have to worry about food.
I also put some nootropics in there.
Say what?
Nootropics. A class of drugs which will help improve your mental functioning.
It'll make me smarter, huh? Anything else?
Yes. Benzedrine. It's a type of stimulant. It'll keep you alert and responsive for 12 straight hours.
That was quite a cocktail. Anything else in there?
Those nanomachines will also keep your Codex batteries charged up.
Well, I guess I can call you when I'm ready to go on a diet.
You're welcome.
Okay. It's not too bad actually, those little conversations are, yeah, they really good or well made. Detailed information. Oh, this one we have to read. Oh no, we don't have to read. Yay, no reading. Hostages.
The chief of DARPA and the president of an arms manufacturing company. What business did they have at a nuclear weapons disposal facility?
The truth is that secret exercises were being conducted at the time the terrorist group attacked.
Must be extremely important exercises if those two were directly involved. Were they testing some kind of new advanced weapon?
I'm not privy to that information.
Do we know exactly where they're being held?
The DARPA chief has also been injected with a mini transmitter. As you get closer, you should be able to pick up his location on your radar.
Nuclear weapons.
Do they really have the ability to launch a nuclear missile?
They say they do. They even gave us the serial number of the warhead they plan to use.
Was the number confirmed?
I'm afraid so. At the very least, they've got their hands on a real nuclear warhead.
Isn't there some kind of safety device to prevent this type of terrorism?
Yes. Every missile and warhead in our arsenal is equipped with a PAL, which uses a discrete detonation code.
PAL.
Permissive Action Link. The safety control system built into all nuclear weapons systems. But even so, we can't rest easy.
Why not?
Because the DARPA chief knows the detonation code.
But even if they have a nuclear warhead, it must have been removed from its missile. All the missiles on these disposal sites are supposed to be dismantled. It's not that easy to get your hands on an ICBM.
That used to be true. But since the end of the Cold War, you can get anything if you have enough money and the right connections.
Okay, the terrorists armed. Armament. The terrorists' armament.
How well armed are these terrorists? I know there was an exercise going on at the time they revolted.
They're heavily armed, I'm afraid.
What about their battle experience?
The 6 members of Foxhound in charge are all hardened veterans. They're tough enough to eat nails and ask for seconds.
I wouldn't expect anything less from Foxhound.
The others are next-generation special forces. They're not your average grunts either.
Okay, almost done. The terrorists demand... Terrorists demand... What is... I think that's further on. The terrorists demand... Okay, sometimes, of course, Google doesn't understand me. The
tourists demand.
Yeah, that happens sometimes. Well, sometimes, very often. Terrorists, the tourists, oh boy.
The terrorists demand.
Yeah, okay, yeah, exactly. You got some.
So what exactly are they demanding?
A person's remains.
Remains?
That's right. To be more accurate, cell specimens which contain the individual's genomic information.
Cell specimens? Why would they want that?
The terrorists need them. You see, these next-generation special forces have been strengthened through gene therapy.
Strengthened?
You've heard of the Human Genome Project. They've been mapping the human genome, and they're nearly finished. Following up on this research, the military has been working towards identifying those genes which are responsible for making effective soldiers.
There are genes that do that?
Yes. And using gene therapy, they're able to transplant those genes into regular soldiers.
Gene therapy?
I'll explain this part. With gene therapy, we can remove those genes which we know may lead to sickness or disease, and at the same time splice in genes with beneficial effects, such as resistance to cancer, for example.
In other words, we can overcome all sorts of genetic diseases, and at the same time add genetic characteristics as desired.
Okay. And so if you knew what genes were responsible for making the perfect soldier, you could implant them in the same way, right?
Yes, we could.
But it all depends on being able to isolate and identify those soldier genes.
And in order to do that, it's helpful if you can study the genomic information of one of the greatest soldiers ever.
Yeah, there's really a lot of information. Genetic strengthening. Okay.
One of the greatest soldiers ever?
The man they call the greatest warrior of the 20th century.
You don't mean Big Boss.
That's right. We've been working feverishly to identify the genes responsible for his incredible combat skill. So far, we've discovered about 60 of the so-called soldier genes.
So his body was recovered after all.
Yes, and his cells have remained frozen in a cryo chamber. His genomic information is a priceless treasure to mankind.
Priceless to the military, perhaps.
His body was burned severely, but it was possible to restore his DNA profile from just a single strand of his hair.
You people are amazing. And then you're gonna transplant those genes into soldiers?
Yes. We'll use a process that I discovered called gene targeting. The strongest soldiers don't become what they are by acquiring their skills through training or experience. We now know that hereditary factors are far more crucial for creating superior soldiers.
Snake, we can't give them his body. It's potentially more dangerous than all the nuclear warheads on that island put together.
I hear the terrorists are calling themselves the Sons of Big Boss.
The Sons of Big Boss.
Okie dokie. He looks a little bit like what's his name? Oh boy. Anyway, I can't. It doesn't occur to me right now. Next generation special force unit, MacGyver.
Tell me about these next generation special forces.
They started out as an anti-terrorist special ops unit, made up of former members of biochem units, technical escort units, and the nuclear emergency search team. Their purpose was to respond to threats involving next-generation weapons of mass destruction, including NBC weapons.
Until they were added, that is.
Who's they?
These guys didn't start out as regular army.
Looks like a pretty international group. Mercenaries?
Yeah, and it gets worse. Most of them were from a merc agency that I think you're familiar with. They were part of Big Boss's private guard. And after Big Boss went down, the military just bought out all their contracts.
Outer heaven.
After that, they were merged with our own VR unit, Force 21, and retrained. If you ask me, these so-called next-generation special forces should be called simulated soldiers. They have no real battle experience.
Video game players, huh?
Don't forget they've all been strengthened with gene therapy. They carry genes which make them excellent soldiers. Don't get careless just because they don't have much experience.
I thought using genetically modified soldiers was prohibited by international law.
Yes, but those are just declarations, not actual treaties.
The interesting thing is that nearly every member of the unit conspired in this attack.
Okay, I really think the stories were very interesting. Problem is there is so much information right at the beginning, so that can be a little bit overwhelming. I have to listen to that later again. But it's really not so bad to compare to other games. Anyway, the reason for anonymous approval. Anonymous.
How could an entire unit be subverted to rebellion?
They're calling it a revolution.
Since they all went through the same gene therapy, they probably felt closer than brothers. They see the unit as their only family.
The Sons of Big Boss. But if they were regular army, they must have been interviewed periodically by army counselors.
According to their files, they all got straight A's on their psychological tests. They all seemed like fine, upstanding, patriotic soldiers.
But they all took part in the uprising?
No. Several people didn't show up on the day of the exercise. That's why there was a resupply of troops.
Was there any sign recently that something might be wrong?
There was a report a month ago that they were acting strangely.
Apparently they consulted classified information about the soldier genes and performed their own gene therapy experiments.
They can do that even without you?
Well, our gene therapy process is almost completely automated. And besides that, they're all geniuses with IQs over 180.
Even the existence of this genome army is a national secret of the highest order. We've been hoping to investigate this thing quietly and deal with it behind closed doors.
And then Unit Foxhound.
High-Tech Special Forces Unit Foxhound. Your former unit, and one that I was a commander of. An elite group combining firepower and expertise. They're every bit as good as when I was commanding them.
So they're still around.
There are 6 members of Foxhound involved in this terrorist activity. Psycho Mattis, with his powerful psychic abilities. Sniper Wolf, the beautiful and deadly sharpshooter. Decoy Octopus, master of disguise. Vulcan Raven, giant and shaman. And Revolver Ocelot, specialist in interrogation and a formidable gunfighter.
Looks like a lovely bunch of folks.
And finally, in charge of them, Foxhound's squad leader, Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake?
Yes. And you're the only person who can stand against him.
Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake.
Liquid Snake. The man with the same code name as you.
Tell me what you know.
He fought in the Gulf War as a teenager, the youngest person in the SAS. His job was to track down and destroy mobile Scud missile launching platforms. You were there too, I believe. Didn't you infiltrate Western Iraq with a platoon of Green Berets?
I was just a kid myself back then.
The details are classified, but it seems that originally he penetrated the Middle East as a sleeper for the SIS.
He was a spy for the British Secret Intelligence Service?
But he never once showed his face in Century House. He was taken prisoner in Iraq, and after that there was no trace of him for several years. After you retired, he was rescued and became a member of Foxhound.
I thought that by the time I left, they were no longer using code names.
I don't know his real name. That information is so highly classified that even I can't look at it. Here's a photo of him. Pretty shocking, huh? His skin tone is different, but otherwise you two are exact duplicates.
I have a twin?
I don't know the details, but it seems so. That's why we really need you for this mission.
You're the only one who can beat him. Now that I've met you, I know. You've got something that he doesn't. I can see it in your eyes.
Why don't I find that thought more comforting?
Okay guys, I think we've did it. We are done with the briefing, which is better than I remember, because I don't remember much. It's really important to watch that actually. If you're interested in the story, there was a lot of hints, and it's also something you have to, what's happening again? You have to, I think I've mispressed, to watch the, if you're like me, probably multiple times until you get everything. Okay, so this was basically part 0. Like I've said, the reason why I have the interface, well, there are multiple reasons, you know, because I worked with Blender recently, and it's a lot of fun to do that. So it doesn't bother me at all that the game does not work in HD. So I don't even want the game to work in HD. It really doesn't work, but I don't even, you know, because I made this. But again, you know, some people like that, some people don't. I get that. It's not, I mean, I understand that. Anyways, so we did everything. I think we are ready to start the game then with part 1. Okay, so I say bye, and then we will see us in part 1 then. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye bye guys.